Well, welcome to Jefferson Liberty Radio, the voice of liberty in the Central Valley of California. I am Matthew. I'm actually out this week, so this is all pre-recorded, but I'm going to pass it along to the team in studio in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsorship opportunities. We are looking for sponsors for our show. We do really need your support to keep this show on the air. So if you're interested, we believe that we would provide great services to you, your business venture, etc. If you or anybody that you know of are interested in sponsoring our show, we've got some pretty reasonable rates. You can get in touch with us at sponsors@jeffersonlibertyradio.com. You can head over to our website, jeffersonlibertyradio.com. Find us on Facebook, message us, get in touch with us somehow. We do have a phone number as well, 209-214-8099. That's 209-214-8099. Get in touch with us. We would really love to set up a sponsorship opportunity for you or somebody that you know. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you soon. Now let's get on to the episode, and I'm going to pass it along to the team in studio.
Welcome to this week's edition of Jefferson Liberty Radio. We're joined this afternoon by Pat, Aaron. How are you guys?
This is Pat, and she's doing good.
This is Aaron, and I'm doing excellent, John. Thank you.
Good. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi, Pat.
Well,
hi, Aaron.
There's a lot of things going on locally.
There are a lot of things going on locally, John.
We talked about it last time, the Straight Pride event. And seems to be back in the news again.
It does. I don't know if anything came about from that Tuesday meeting downtown. They were going to try to pass that new ordinance, but I don't know whether that went. Did anybody hear about that?
Yeah, the ordinance that says you can't show up with a weapon, a baseball bat, or this
That's
or
the
that.
one.
You got to have insurance now all of a sudden to have an event in the park.
Yeah.
Well, according to something here that just came out today in the Modesto Bee, Modesto City has banned protesters from having rocks, sticks, glass, bottles, and other items that can be used as weapons.
Right, because the city can police that, right?
Right. As well as of the wearing of masks at demonstrations that have the potential to turn violent.
Right. Whoa, but hold on. If your religion requires you to wear a head covering or conceal your face, you'll be able to attend protests in Modesto with that head covering. Okay? So we've just told everybody in Northern California, Central California, that wants to attend a protest in Modesto, how to conceal your identity. Well, you just got to wear a burqa.
That's it.
Right? So not only did you tell the Antifa thugs, you've told every thug out there that just wants to be a thug and cause problems how to conceal their identity.
Exactly.
Well, let's think about this for a minute, though. So let's go somewhere that nobody, not even the city council who approved this thing, has thought of. We in the past, in Stanislaus County, in the Modesto area, have had a problem with people who conceal their identities behind hoods and white clothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? I don't know how many of our listeners are familiar with the name Cody Bill Albers, but if you go back to the newspapers from the late 70s, early 80s, Mr. Albers was holding Klan events in Whitmore Park in Ceres, California. They were holding events in Keys, in Turlock, at his home off of St. Francis. And don't go to St. Francis. He no longer lives there. Those are new homeowners. Leave those people alone. But I want to tell you, the Ku Klux Klan considered themselves, this man was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. May still be, I don't know. I just know the Valley's history.
Yeah.
I do know that these things happened in our public parks.
I'm going to look that up.
Well, look up all day long.
Well, I'm going to look it up. No, I'm going to look it up so I can learn too.
Right,
that's the only reason.
From what I understand, Mr. Albers was the Grand Dragon of the American Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
And we all know the Klan considers themselves a Christian-based organization.
They do at that, don't they?
Okay, so now we've said that if you're in this recent city council decision where you can't have head coverings or this or that unless your religion requires you to wear head coverings. Well, these Klan members at one time considered themselves a religious organization, so are we now going to let them wear their robes and hoods? Because if you're going to allow a Muslim person to show up dressed in their burqa, you're going to have to allow a Christian person to show up in their religious regalia. And absolutely, in our history as the United States of America, the Ku Klux Klan recognized themselves as a Christian organization, a religious organization.
They did.
And that's one thing this city council did not take into account. I'd like to know how the vote came down on that, because Aaron's telling us off the internet or the news outlet that he's accessed that they did pass this thing.
Yeah,
so
there's a little more to it also.
What are you finding, Aaron?
Yeah, they voted 7-0 on Tuesday night for the ordinance, but not before.
So that means Mayor Ted, what's his name, Brandvold?
But there's more to it. It says he tried to hijack the ordinance by making it about the Second Amendment, but then Chief Galen Carroll asked Friday that firearms be removed from the ordinance after speaking with Brandvold, and the mayor raised concern about including them. So Carroll said Modesto's ordinance was based on a Los Angeles ordinance that included the firearms ban. So it looks like it's everything except for.
So you can have guns there now.
Yeah, it looks
and you can conceal your identity, right? So if our police officers have to respond, there may or may not be people in religious regalia concealing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, people, I bring up the Klan as an example.
I
mean, that's like a worst case thing, right?
Right. I think you're playing devil's advocate, and that's what we need to do. We need to see how far people are going to take this, because people do that. They take things way too far.
Well, the bottom line is, and the Klan is such a hot button issue in this country. I hate to even bring it up. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But the simple fact is, the KKK burned a cross. Okay, the cross is a religious symbol. The KKK identified as a Christian organization. That's no different than a Muslim organization or an Islamic organization saying you must conceal your identity if you're in public women.
Right.
Okay? And we know that, be it a straight pride event or not, that this ordinance has been brought about because of, that there is a whole trans identity acceptance movement going on in this nation, in this state at this time. Mm-hmm. So what's to say that I choose to identify as a Islamic Muslim woman that day and show up in full burqa, full head covering, claiming to be a trans male or trans female, whatever you want to call it, Muslim, right? Muslim, as a man in a burqa, concealing a multitude of weaponry.
Well, and this is probably one of their fears, though. I mean, you can understand.
They've just passed 7-0 an ordinance that would allow for the exact thing that they're worried about.
Right.
Had this city council kept their damn mouths shut and stayed in their lane. Stayed in their lane.
Right.
So what they've done is they've removed the firearms aspect of that ordinance, right? So what they've done is they haven't trampled on the Second Amendment. But they're saying baseball bats, right? Rocks, stones, sticks, bottles, okay? It's still armaments. It's still something you can arm yourself with to protect yourself or create violence against another party.
Exactly.
War.
Right.
War.
It
okay?
is.
Whether we're fighting one-on-one or we're fighting between nations, it's still fighting is war. Simple. It's simple. So they've actually trampled on the United States Constitution. They've actually trampled on our liberties. 7-0 people in the city of Modesto.
Right, they have.
This is your city council telling you don't have the right to go to the park with a baseball bat. Now I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A dad and his kids that he only gets those 2 days on the weekend are going to go to the park where this pride event's happening with a baseball glove, a baseball bat, and a baseball. And a law enforcement officer from this town will tell them they have to leave because there's an event going on and you cannot possess that item here.
Yep.
That could happen.
And don't think that stuff doesn't happen. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. And, there's a lot of scenarios out there that we could go into. What could happen? The innocent being arrested for something, for not even knowing that they're supposedly breaking the law. I mean, there are just so many ordinances. It seems that the more ordinances we have, the easier it is to make criminals out of us because we don't know what the ordinances are anymore because there's so many that we're all going to be breaking them pretty soon. Somewhere down the line, we're all breaking those city ordinances or laws.
Well, there's 3 of us here right now. Okay.
Yep.
There's 3 adult individuals, taxpayers, voters, right here, right now. What is the police department, the police officer's responsibility? Do either of you know?
Well, I don't. It's not to protect, is it?
It's not. It's not to protect you.
It's not to protect you.
The police officer's main job. The police officer works for the city. The police officer does not work for Pat, Aaron, or John.
Right.
Okay?
That was... I think you were trying to trick me with that.
No,
question.
I'm going somewhere with it.
Okay, good.
The city police officer's first duty is to the city, to enforce city ordinances.
Okay,
let's look at it historically.
Yeah.
Okay? The city police officer enforces city municipal code over anything else. Now, our law enforcement officers also, being sworn peace officers in the state of California, not only are responsible for enforcing city ordinances, county ordinances, state ordinances, federal ordinances, or laws. This is a city ordinance. It is now a city law. It will be codified in the municipal code for the city of Modesto. Okay? And it will be codified in such a way. Trust me, I read what they were saying yesterday before it was available on Facebook. Religious coverings are allowed. And I bring up the Klan as a example, but it is totally legitimate. Mm-hmm. Okay? We can look up Cody Bill Albers all day long. People, brace yourselves. I do not support the ideals or the values of the Ku Klux Klan, but my great-grandfather's name was Albers. Mm. When I speak Cody Bill Albers, I'm as close to an expert on the subject of the man as you're going to get. The man ran the Klan in this area.
Ew. That's...
Listen, back this thing up 15 seconds. I said I do not support the ideals
of
the Ku Klux Klan.
We would not be sitting here with you if you did, believe me.
Well...
And I know that you don't, John. None of us do.
People of low integrity have those viewpoints. My only point there with that is this ordinance allows for that group to wear their regalia as much as it does the Islamic person. and it puts everyone that may possibly attend in a dangerous situation.
Exactly.
You know, you mentioned as far as the regalia, as far as wearing a burqa or a hood and robe, whatever, a white robe, but also they outlaw knives. What if your religion, you're a Sikh and you're carrying a kirpan?
Hey, there you go. There's another
religious.
Well, here's the bottom line. And we talked about it 2 weeks ago. There is no place for these pride events.
No.
These pride events are not protected speech. And I don't care who you are. My interpretation of our rights, okay, and not only federally in the Constitution, but in the California State Constitution, you do not have the right to engage in a pride event. A pride event is not a political event. It's not a discourse event.
No.
Okay? It's not a petition of grievance.
It isn't.
We have a First Amendment right to free speech, to protected speech for reasons of press, media, sharing information amongst each other, talking about our elected representatives, and for the redress of grievance.
Which this pride does not fit any.
Pride events do not. And I don't care what the courts have held in opinion in the past. Pride events, in my opinion, are not free speech issues. Whatever side you're on, it's a reason to cause drama. It's a reason to say, look at me. It's a reason to say, I'm better than you.
Exactly.
And you do not have a right to say, I'm better than you. So we know you're already there saying, I'm better than you.
And that's exactly the problem I have with them.
This group is better than your group. And I brought up another group, okay, that did do things. And when I say that man led things, that man led things. That man is my father's uncle. Okay? That makes him my great uncle.
Right.
Direct bloodline. Held those rallies. Now I was a very young man. And I didn't spend no time with this individual my entire life. But this is part of my history, part of my ancestral record. And if anyone that listens was affected by that group, I apologize for my family's part in that. But we have to be realistic when looking at it. That's a hate group.
That is a hate group.
Gay pride is a hate group. Straight pride.
LGBT
Straight pride is a hate group. There is no reason, no peaceful reason to hold these events saying I'm better than you or I have utmost pride in myself.
Right.
It's
there we go.
A sin called pride.
What and isn't there pride goes before, what is that saying? I've been trying to figure it out. Pride goes before the fall. I think that's it. Does that sound
sounds about
good?
right? And
I've actually been looking for that. If anybody can send me that quote, I'd appreciate that. But pride is, and you are so right, and that's exactly where I am. No group should have this opportunity to show their dislike or their or their not necessarily their dislike or their disdain for someone else, but that I am so much better because I see myself in this light, in that light.
Right, but that's an issue. That's an issue with society in general. What the main problem we have today is there's 7 individuals on the Modesto City Council that voted unanimously to trample on liberty, to trample on freedom, to trample on your ability to protect yourself. Okay? That the only reason the chief removed the firearms deal is because of the concealed weapons permit holders are allowed to possess that weapon anywhere in the state. Okay? there would have been a state and federal lawsuit on that ordinance so fast it make your head spin. Okay, the Madison Society was already pitching a fit about it.
They were.
Okay, so
Thank
so
God
that's
they were
the
there.
only reason. That's the only reason the 7 that voted unanimously amended it to take that out of their ordinance.
Yep.
On recommendation of the chief, because that would have cost the city so much more in litigation. But these people have trampled your rights.
They have
They
trampled.
do not care about, number one, you protecting yourself.
Nope.
Okay, I'm not a concealed carry weapons permit holder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so technically, I can't protect myself. Even against a rock or a stick or a brick or any number of things that are city owned in the park that could be picked up and used against me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, Pat, you were asking about the pride thing, and that's Proverbs 16:18.
I just saw that.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
finally found it.
Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Well, what's haughty? Now we got to explain to people what haughty is.
Yes.
Because it's not haughty, Hottie, like a very nice looking member of the opposite
Haughty
sex.
means arrogantly superior and disdainful, a look of haughty disdain.
Well, and isn't
Arrogance.
that, and isn't what I've been
Yes,
saying the
exactly.
past, 2 weeks ago and then today? Look at me, I'm better than you. Arrogance.
Right, arrogance. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right.
And I'm sure if
Funny.
I tasked Aaron with digging enough, he could find the same type of verbiage in the Quran. Let's make no mistake. I don't care what religion you are. These books are similar in their teachings.
They are.
Okay? Because
Okay, let me go on.
it's all historical records.
Let me go back to the word haughty one more time, because down here in the thesaurus, it's the words proud, arrogant, vain, conceited, snobbish, superior, self-important,
there it is
pompous,
right there.
and
I like pompous.
supercilious. Pompous is
Straight
pompous
straight
parade.
pompous.
Straight
Pompous.
That's it. Pompous parade. There we go.
Pompous parade. There you go.
Hey, the San Francisco Pompous Gay Parade.
There you go.
There it is.
Well, there it is for you people. The real definition right there.
That's it.
I'll tell you everything you need to know.
Oh man.
Well, straight up. Look, and that's Proverbs, right?
Yep.
That's Proverbs 16:18.
I'm at the Church of the Holy Pillow most Sundays. I don't attend any specific worship services, but there are passages in these scripture that were put there by our forefathers as lessons for us to learn, so we don't repeat history.
Exactly.
Okay, you just look at it like a U.S. history book or a world history book. The
Or
scripture,
just a good way to live your life.
well, not even that. I'm just saying that the scriptures can be used as a historical reference.
Yeah, it is a history book.
You know, and right there it's telling us, it's harmful to engage in these activities.
That's right.
Right? That's what that is saying.
Harmful. And who does it hurt? And why do they want to hurt?
Well, it doesn't say who it hurts, right, in that passage.
No, it doesn't say
But
hurts.
it does say that, don't do these things. They wouldn't have put that in there if they wanted you to
Right.
behave in that manner.
That's right.
Correct.
The wages of sin is death.
Yep. What'd you say, Aaron?
The wages of sin is death.
Yes. Where'd that
Well, I
come-
mean, we don't even have to
That's
go
in the
there,
Bible.
because here's the thing: everybody's guaranteed life and everybody's guaranteed death.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, even if you're without sin, you're going to die.
True. In a
Your physical
sense.
vessel is going to
in
give
a physical
up.
way, but we're talking about a spiritual way.
Yeah. That's it. I like that. That's a good way to add. Good thing to add there.
Well, but at the same time, the city council in Modesto is no better than the people holding the event.
It seems to be that way, doesn't it? Seems to
they're reacting out of fear. And what are they reacting out of fear to? Okay, I know what they're reacting out of fear to. Look at what's been going on. El Paso, Dayton, Gilroy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Tonight.
Yeah,
there was a shooting tonight, but I don't think it had anything to do with
2004. Dimebag Darrell. I mean, come on.
I know.
It's
how many?
Nobody that listens to our show will know what happened in 2004 with Dimebag Darrell.
You better tell everybody about Dimebag Darrell.
Well, you know, and it wasn't even an alternative lifestyle club, but Dimebag Darrell was a singer for Pantera, and there was a shooting in the nightclub they were performing in. Okay, that was 2004.
And he got shot?
Yeah, he got shot. He got killed that night. But okay, it's probably in one of the statistics for mass shootings in 2004. But that's what this is in this ordinance is in retaliation of, not retaliation's not the right word, but in
response.
In response to, because, okay, Gilroy, Dayton, El Paso.
Just the recent.
Whatever happened tonight, I don't even know because, I'm actually working.
Right.
And let's be clear. Mass does not mean a large amount of bullets. Mass does not mean a large amount of deaths. Okay? What the media and the government is using to scare everyone when they use the word mass is simply an assembly of people. There was a shooting at an assembly of people. Okay?
Yeah, just to be clear, that wasn't what happened tonight. It was a shoot. A guy was holed up in Pennsylvania, and he was shooting at police officers, and 6 were shot. But I don't know if there's been any fatalities. But
however,
it wasn't. It kind of is a mass shooting.
Well, it's not even a mass shooting. How's it a mass shooting? It was one man and the police. Okay,
one mass and multiple.
Who assembled the group of people that were shot at?
Who assembled them?
The local government.
Right.
Dispatched more than one man there.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Or more than one man heard the dispatch and said, well, I gotta go. I gotta swing mine. No, that's exactly what happens.
You're probably right.
And okay, I'm sorry law enforcement officers died in this thing. But let's face the facts. They get up and they know that that's a real possibility.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the mass. Your point on.
Well, my point is it's just mass is just referring to a large gathering of people. It's not referring to anything other than the accumulation of individuals. Because we're not talking about how many weapons were used. We're not talking about how many bullets were used. Mm-hmm. We're only talking about the possibility of mass deaths. Well, how many people died in Gilroy? I don't remember.
Three.
Three?
3 were killed, yeah.
How many injured?
I believe it was 16 or 19. I don't remember.
So we're under 25, okay? Mm-hmm. That's not a massive amount of people. Not for the people that were assembled at the Gilroy Garlic Festival.
Right.
And listen, people, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm trying to tell you how your government is fear-mongering you. Okay?
Good points, though. Yeah, those are good points.
So the only people there with weapons were a man that violated the law by cutting a fence into a paid event.
Right.
Okay? Yep. Make no mistake, the man purchased the weapon legally. Mm-hmm. Okay? The man chose to bring a weapon purchased legally in Nevada, which means he had to be a Nevada resident. Mm-hmm. Okay? He had Nevada identification.
Yes.
Okay? In this world of real ID and all this, homie bought the weapon legally, brought that weapon back into California under premeditated circumstances. That's not a mass shooting. It's not a tragedy. It was a planned event. The tragedy, though, is The state of California has hamstrung us because the only people in Gilroy that had protective ability were the government. Yep. Make no mistake, the police are the government.
That's right.
And our right to keep and bear arms doesn't stop at a well-regulated militia. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free state, comma, that means you take a breath and you think. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now let's think, what is a well-regulated militia? Okay? To be a part of the militia, you had to have a certain kind of armament. You had to have a certain amount of ammunition for that armament, and you had to have a certain amount of potted meat, which meant cured meat, the ability to sustain yourself for X amount of time.
Oh, I didn't know all that.
Full stop.
Right.
But number one, you had to be just a Joe nobody.
Right.
Okay? Because there was a Continental Army. There was a Continental Army that the militias tagged along with. So get that militia argument out of the way right now. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. To keep. I've been over this. Possess.
Right.
Bear. To show. Openly display.
Sure. Right.
Okay? You have the right to brandish a firearm. You have the right to keep it. To conceal it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to bear it. You have the right to bear it. Nothing says you have to bear it, but you do have the right to keep it. And if you keep it in a concealed fashion, you're still able to protect yourself. So we had one 19 or 20-year-old kid with a rifle purchased legally come over a state line with premeditated plans to shoot several people. Okay? And all we had were a few that were able to protect the entire group.
Right.
Now, if our rights hadn't been trampled by the state of California, and I believe that the families of the victims, not only the injured victims, but the families of the victims should be suing the state of California for compensation. Because the laws of the state of California, in direct violation of the United States Constitution, allowed them and their family members to be placed in harm's way.
Now, that's a really good question as to has there ever been a lawsuit taken up against the United States for that?
Well, it's
for
not
that
the
reason.
United States. You have to take it up against the state.
The state. Oh, you have to go to the state because the state are the people who
because
keep
at the Gilroy Garlic Festival,
right?
Make no mistake, we are a California-based show.
Right.
At the Gilroy Garlic Festival, the laws that deny the people the right to self-protection.
That is really, I had never thought of that before, John.
Those are state laws that were put in place. Now the police officers in Gilroy responded within a minute.
Right.
Hey, let's not brag on that. The cops are already hanging out at the Gilroy Garlic Festival.
They're already, right.
Their assigned beat that day was the Gilroy Garlic Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether you're hanging over waiting for a guy to get drunk in public, because trust me, that's a money generator.
It certainly is.
We see you stumble one too many times on the way to the Blue Room or the porta potty. We're gonna arrest you for drunk in public and make a bunch of money off of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and don't mention if you got your keys in your pocket. Well, now you had intent to drive. We can go DUI and all this stuff. But that's neither here nor there.
No.
Okay, they responded in the amount of time they did because there weren't 25, 30 other people there with handguns on them that couldn't have gone tap, tap, tap 3 times in that guy and maybe only one died.
Right.
And I guarantee you that 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid wouldn't have showed up there with whether it be an AK-47, an AR-15, 15, what it was, he wouldn't have shown up with any weapon.
Nope.
So
what do they
had
do?
the possibility of one civilian's weapon being turned on him.
Right.
So what did they do in response to that? They upped the.
Well, everybody, yeah. So we got that. We got Dayton. We got El Paso, and they want to take more rights away. They want all these red flag laws to go into effect.
Right. Well, that's
It's
not
not
where
the answer.
Well,
It's breeding more of these shootings
sure is.
at gatherings of people.
But that's not where I was going with that comment. I said, so what do they do in response to this is they add more guards. They add more people to survey the anything that's happening. I think there was it was a fair or something that happened the week after that in down in that area, and all they did was they upped the amount of police officers who were going to be at the event, and that was their only response to that.
Well, make no mistake, the police are few and far between in a group as large as a festival.
Yeah.
The police are few and far between at the county fairs.
Sure.
You know, while you do see them, they can't be everywhere.
Nope.
And I'm telling you what, they have rules of engagement much like the military. I mean, certain things have to be happening before they can use deadly force.
That's right.
I'm telling you right now, somebody walks through the gates of the fair here in this county with a firearm.
Well,
They're not coming in. Nobody's coming into the fair with a rifle to go hunting.
right.
Oh, they're hunting.
Well,
they're hunting cans.
they're-
Americans.
yeah, true. They're not going to come through the gate that way. They're going to do exactly what that man did.
Well, they're going to sneak
that
through
man.
they're going to sneak
that
through an employee
gun
entrance or something.
man.
Yeah. And it's not hard to get into these places. Now, this young man cut the fence, but I mean, let's be straight up. It's a temporary fence. It went up pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This guy just took the time to cut the chain link instead of, hey, pick this one up, slide it out of the way, pick this one up, slide it out of the way, and walk through.
Right. Huh. Yeah, it was definitely, it was a premeditated, you're right, it was premeditated.
But the city of
idea.
Modesto unanimously voted to trample on your liberty. And look, every Modesto resident needs to be upset about that. And every one of those people needs to lose their reelection campaign. Because they trampled on your liberty.
Yeah, they did.
For no other reason. I don't care if this is the only thing they've done that's unconstitutional. Or that's not clearly thinking. They obviously aren't clearly thinking. I'm not even a Modesto resident, and I just brought up some history from our county now because I absolutely know that, intimately because of the relationship with the individual that did these things, because of the type of outfits that group, dressed themselves in.
Wow.
I just threw that out there as a, hey, look, this is a real possibility now because of this thing.
And I think I think you're right. I think it is a real possibility.
Mr. Mayor, Modesto City Council members, did you think about that?
Did you?
No, you didn't think about that.
I'm
You
sure
didn't
not.
think about the things that can be concealed in a burqa.
Right.
The things that you can conceal in a full Klan regalia.
Right.
And you didn't think about that the Klan considers themselves a religious organization. They consider themselves, Christians. That's no different than you dress in a certain way because you're a Muslim. Okay? And let's be very clear. Jewish have head coverings, certain attire. Mennonites.
They don't have
Amish
face coverings though,
Right.
as the two that
Right.
you've brought up.
Absolutely, but everyone has a different religious attire,
Right.
okay? And if you're going to say head coverings or face coverings, now the Jewish man can't wear his yarmulke? Okay, that's a head covering.
That is.
It's
Well,
not
what about a
necessarily
hat?
concealing his face, but it's a head covering.
True.
Okay? So, however, they don't think. They're reacting out of fear.
That's it.
They're reacting out of concern that something might happen. Okay, now it's all on hold because, well, we're not sure about the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Dude.
We're just going back to
If I tell Aaron, Matthew, and Pat to meet me in Groseta Park, we're going to sit down at a table and have a gathering. There's no insurance required. Now, we already decided that these pride events, there's no constitutional support for having this having this pride activity.
Right.
Right? We've already decided that it's ridiculous, but it's a gathering of people. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. People amassing themselves in a group for a common purpose. Whether I agree with that purpose or not, why at public property? Mm-hmm. And let's be very frank about it. Mr. Shannon Poe, AMRA, and the Walk for Liberty people are protesting this very same thing, this insurance requirement to do something at a public land. Or these regulations on our use of public land. That park is public land.
You know, I think there's one thing we have to maybe even this is just another point, that we are so used to our liberties being taken from us, and we don't even notice anymore. Yeah. A lot of us don't. I mean, I really didn't even look at this issue today, John, until you brought it up, that it is a liberty. It does kill a liberty that we it eroded another liberty.
Right. It's an intrusion.
Right.
Yep.
Look at Hong Kong right now. The people in Hong Kong, what? They're not pitching a fit over anything other than China. Mainland China wants to have an extradition policy, move Hong Kong citizens from Hong Kong to mainland China. Why? Because mainland China has no due process.
They don't.
Hong Kong wants due process.
They want.
Okay, and what are
the First Amendment or the Second Amendment?
And what are those people? What are they doing?
Protesting.
They're singing the United States national anthem and carrying our flag. Why?
And they made it.
Because it stands for due process and it stands for freedom and liberty.
Right. And they've even made a replica of the Statue of Liberty. I heard
because they emulate us. They want to be like us. They're fighting for the things we are allowing our government to strip from us.
Exactly. Yeah, and I just hope that someone out there who is listening to this today, or when this airs, that you at least just think about the liberties that you've lost. There are many.
Somebody needs to tag the mayor of Modesto.
That's right.
In this episode and send it to him. Someone needs to tag every city council member and send it to them.
That will be done.
Because they have trampled on your rights as Modesto citizens. Right. And they do not care. It's unanimous.
That's it.
It's unanimous. If you want to have a gathering in your park, well, you're going to pay. You're gonna have an insurance policy, and I guarantee you, insurance for this type of gathering is not going to be cheap.
I'm certain of that.
Okay, not after we've been hamstrung and cannot protect ourselves. Not after the police will not protect you.
Yeah,
the police will not protect you until there's been several deaths. There's going to have to be at least one death before any Modesto police officer unloads a weapon on anyone. And then, God forbid. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not expert marksmen.
That's scary. That's really scary.
I would almost guarantee you a large percentage of the civilian, of the friendly casualties in these mass shooting incidences are because of the empty the clip mentality of our police officers.
That's a scary thought.
And how many deaths go on the heads of those men or women who who perpetrate these shooting events that were caused by friendly fire?
Well, you've just left me speechless.
It's
I
a
never
possibility.
Even thought about that. I've never thought
it's
about
a
that
large
either.
possibility because the police have an empty the clip mentality. Not just the police. Everyone has that mentality. Well, I'll just empty my clip.
Yeah.
I don't like to think about that.
One shot, one kill, people.
That's it.
You have a weapon. You have a responsibility to put the bullet where you intend for it to go. But it's not the government's job to tell us that we can't have that weapon. It's not the city of Modesto's job to tell you that you have to have insurance to have a meeting in your park.
That's right. These are liberties you're losing. We are losing.
And someone needs to let this city know.
Yep.
They need to stop doing this to us. And whatever the city gets away with, the county gets away with. Whatever the county gets away with, the state gets away with. People, I've said it over and over. It's our republic starts at home. And if you do not check the Modesto City Council and the Modesto Mayor, you're actually stripping yourselves of your liberty. If I had if I had a voice in it, I'm sorry. I listened to the mayor of Modesto speak at an event at Fuddruckers. Hey, nice guy, Ted, but you don't pass the test for me. I'd be here tonight saying every Modesto resident vote for Mayor Ted because he stood up for you as the lone voice and said no. But it's unanimous. It
wasn't unanimous.
Dude, all 7 of you are done in my mind, and I'll tell every Modesto resident that. Unless at the next meeting you reverse that decision. Everyone has the opportunity to make a mistake and correct it. When you do not correct it, when you do not fix it, then you're worse than you originally intended to be.
Yeah. I can't believe that I don't think that these thoughts even came into their brains. I am positive. Especially Mayor Ted. I'm sorry. I really don't think that he had these thoughts. And I hope we will would he hashtag him? Hashtag him and get him to read it.
Anybody that's Facebook friends with these politicians can share it directly to them.
That's what we'll do.
Listen,
I'll do that.
I'm a City of Ceres resident. The decisions of the city of Modesto, while I have no say in them, directly affect me.
They certainly do. We're too close. I mean, Ceres is just...
I mean, let's be straight up.
Exactly.
Because the decisions in Modesto influence the county.
Yep. Yes. And same with Turlock.
Okay, if say I lived out Milton Road.
Mm-hmm.
The decisions of Modesto City don't affect me near as much as they do as a resident in Ceres. But I can't do business in Oakdale.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go through Modesto to get to Oakdale. I could do business primarily and never do business in Modesto, but I have to come into Modesto for courts. I have to come into Modesto for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I have to pass through Modesto to use the highway, the intrastate highway.
Mm-hmm.
So the things the council does directly affects me.
Yes.
But I don't have any say My only say is through our listeners.
That's it.
And straight up, your representatives are trash.
They seem, misguided for damn sure.
Misguided? You think they don't know these things?
Well, I don't know.
I think they react with a knee-jerk reaction.
It's a knee-jerk.
And an emotional reaction, and don't think about anything else but how to please only those who are making a big stink. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Well, to be in politics, you have to have a basic understanding of our liberties.
True.
And in our rights, okay?
That doesn't mean that they follow those rules, though. Or those things. That their basic knowledge that they should have.
Let's touch on the things we've spoken about the past few weeks. California Constitution requires everything to be done in English.
Right.
Every government action to be done in English.
But it's
Is there anything any paper produced by the city of Modesto that contains Spanish?
Yes.
Are there Spanish phone numbers available to communicate with the city?
Yes.
Are there programs in Modesto geared towards a Spanish-speaking individual?
Yes.
Has anyone on the council denounced those items?
No.
Unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Whether it took me to bring that to everyone's attention or not, it's not my responsibility to bring it to the attention of our elected officials.
Right. They should have that basic understanding. Right.
Which is what he just
it's
said,
their responsibility when they seek office to know
right
the Constitution of the state of California. Because even in the capacity of the city mayor of Modesto, that Constitution is your guideline. Mm-hmm. Even in the capacity of the city of Modesto city manager, that's your guideline. And they're not following it, and they're not following the federal Constitution, and they need to go. Or they need to fix themselves.
Oh, they need to fix it
and start behaving in a acceptable manner.
Constitutional way, yeah. Yeah, there you go. I like it.
These are nonpartisan seats, and they need to behave in a professional manner.
True.
So that's where we're at for this week. We hope you all enjoy the episode, and if
you learn something.
If you're a Modesto resident, get on the phone. Start bugging them people. We still need you to bug your senators about AB 5. That's going to affect everybody's pocketbook.
Everybody.
You cannot shut down trucking in this state, and it don't affect you.
That's right.
It's going to affect everything.
AB 5.
And Shannon's on his walk. We hope to have an update from him next week.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
The Walk for Liberty has commenced.
Yep.
There's already been Facebook games. Facebook has been censoring some of the live videos that the gentleman put up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, absolutely has.
Maybe go ahead. It
now,
doesn't matter.
We're recording on Wednesday night. This won't air till Saturday. They'll be 75% of the way done with the walk by then, but Facebook is biased, people. Facebook knows we're fighting for our liberties, and they do not want us to unite.
They want to divide us, and that's how they win. That's how they win, by dividing us. We need to find somewhere, somehow, a place where we can all just maybe just agree to disagree.
Absolutely. But we want to thank you for listening to this week's episode, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you, and
good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Jefferson Liberty Radio. You can get in touch with us, email us at feedback@jeffersonlibertyradio.com or via our website at jeffersonlibertyradio.com. You can also leave us a voicemail at 209-214-8099. That's 209-214-4089. We'd love to hear your questions and comments. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, or your podcast player of choice. Don't forget to to leave us a 5-star review where you can. We'd really appreciate it, and it actually does help our ratings. You can find us on all the typical social media, Twitter, Facebook, even some alternative media such as BitChute and Gab. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Jefferson Liberty Radio, and we'll catch you next time. Jefferson Liberty Radio is a production of Forgotten Liberty Media. The views expressed by the host or guests throughout the various episodes may not necessarily reflect the views of Forgotten Liberty Media as a company.